Imagine a sanctuary of knowledge so legendary that scholars risked their lives crossing thousands of miles of scorching deserts and lethal mountain passes. They traveled just to reach its gates, a place where the entrance exam was conducted at the front gates by literal gatekeepers. 80% of applicants failed, but for those who passed, education, housing, medicine and food didn't cost a single coin. Long before Oxford laid its first brick, long before Cambridge welcomed its first student, and centuries before Harvard was even a thought, Nalanda was already the intellectual epicenter of the civilized world. At its peak, its libraries held hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, a collective mind so vast that when it was set ablaze, it reportedly burned for months, blotting out the sun. This isn't a myth. This was Nalanda Mahavihara. How did this ancient marvel rise to such unprecedented glory? And how did a bastion of human enlightenment vanish, seemingly overnight? This is the story of the rise, the fall, and the modern rebirth. To find the roots of Nalanda, we must step back nearly 1600 years into the golden age of ancient India. Under the prosperous rule of the Gupta Empire, the arts, mathematics, and sciences weren't just studied, they flourished. Around 415 CE, Emperor Kumaragupta made a decision that would alter the course of global history. He commissioned a grand monastery in the fertile plains of modern-day Bihar. It was built directly over an ancient mango grove. According to tradition, this grove was gifted to the Buddha himself for a handful of coins. The name Nalanda translates to the relentless giver of knowledge. The location sat just 90 kilometers from Patna, near Rajgir, an ancient city deeply sanctified by the footsteps of Lord Buddha. What began as a quiet Buddhist monastery slowly evolved into a fully residential, sprawling university town. It was an intellectual oasis designed to foster the human mind. Nalanda did not just grow, it dominated the intellectual landscape. For centuries, successive kings and international emperors poured wealth into its expansion, spanning the reigns of the Guptas, Vardhanas, and the Palas. By the 7th century, the campus was a breathtaking marvel of engineering. Archaeologists have excavated 11 vast interconnected monasteries and 6 massive brick temples arranged in a mathematically precise grid. The structures were built using advanced kiln-burnt bricks, featuring thick walls designed for thermal insulation, deep ventilation shafts, and complex multi-tiered drainage systems that fed into freshwater lakes to keep the campus naturally cool in the intense summer heat. We know the staggering scale of this paradise thanks to the meticulous diaries of Xuanzang, a revered Chinese monk who spent years living and studying here. He recorded that Nalanda housed 10,000 students and 2,000 world-class faculty members, 12,000 minds, living, debating, and unlocking the mysteries of the universe under one roof. As Xuanzang wrote in his journal, the richly adorned towers and the fairy-like turrets like pointed hilltops are lost in the mists of the morning. All around, pools of translucent water bear the blue lotus. But perhaps its most radical achievement was its economy. Education was entirely free. The university was funded by the revenues of over 200 villages gifted by kings. Rice, milk, clothing, and medicine flowed into the campus daily. At Nalanda, your wealth, caste, or country didn't matter. The only currency accepted here was intelligence. But getting in was a psychological gauntlet. Nalanda's entrance exam didn't involve ink and paper. It was a fierce, live oral debate held right at the university gates. The Dwarapalas, the highly specialized scholarly gatekeepers, would hurl complex philosophical questions at applicants to test their speed of thought and logical accuracy. If you couldn't defend your logic at the gate, you were turned away. 7 out of 10 applicants walked away rejected. For the elite few who passed, life was rigorous and deeply disciplined. The day was strictly regulated by a water clock system, a water-filled brass bowl with a tiny puncture that sank at precise intervals, sounding a resonant strike on a massive bronze bell at dawn to awaken the campus. Learning at Nalanda wasn't about rote memorization. It was centered on the art of Tarka Shastra, formal logic and debate. Every single day, over 100 different lecture and debate sessions occurred across the courtyards. Students were expected to dissect ideas, question authority, and ruthlessly defend their theories. While Buddhist philosophy was its core, Nalanda was profoundly secular. Here, scholars mapped the stars in astronomy, calculated complex equations in mathematics, studied public health, practiced advanced medicine, and mastered linguistics. Scholars like Nagarjuna formulated the foundational theories of emptiness. Dharmakirti revolutionized Buddhist logic. And historical tradition connects Nalanda's vibrant academic ecosystem to Aryabhata, the mathematician who gave the world the concept of zero. It functioned exactly like a modern cutting-edge research institution, 1,000 years ahead of its time. This vibrant pursuit of truth transformed Nalanda into a global melting pot. It was a citadel without borders. Students braved perilous journeys across the dangerous Silk Road and unpredictable oceans. They came from Japan, Korea, Tibet, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Sumatra, and the far reaches of Persia. We even have archaeological proof of this global diplomacy. The famous Nalanda copper plate of King Devapaladeva, which records how King Balaputradeva of the Sailendra dynasty in Sumatra, modern-day Indonesia, built a monastery at Nalanda and requested the Indian king to grant 5 villages to fund its upkeep. When Xuanzang finally returned to China, after studying under Nalanda's brilliant 90-year-old chancellor Shilabhadra, he carried 657 distinct Sanskrit texts loaded onto 20 horses. His translations fundamentally reshaped East Asian culture. Decades later, another Chinese scholar, Yi Jing, arrived to spend 10 years at the university, copying and translating 400 separate texts while documenting the same flawless routines, the architecture, and the peaceful coexistence of cultures. These foreign diaries became the ultimate time capsules. Without them, Nalanda's memory might have been completely erased by history. But the true crown jewel of Nalanda wasn't its architectural beauty or its global student body. It was its legendary library complex, known as the Dharma Gunj, the Mountain of Truth. This vast repository of human knowledge was split across 3 monumental buildings: Ratnasagara, the Ocean of Jewels; Ratnodadi, the Sea of Gems; and Ratnaranjaka, the Collection of Delights. One of these structures, Ratnodadi, soared 9 stories into the sky. Inside lay hundreds of thousands of meticulously hand-copied manuscripts written on treated palm leaves and birch bark. Every breakthrough in ancient Indian mathematics, medical treatises by Charaka and Sushruta, astronomical charts and profound philosophical discourses existed within these walls. For centuries, this wasn't just a library. It was the safe deposit box of human civilization. But the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows. Every great civilization eventually faces its tragedy. For Nalanda, that dark hour arrived around 1193 CE. An army led by the Turkic military commander Bakhtiar Khilji swept through northern India. Nalanda, unprotected by high fortified walls or military garrisons, was a defenseless target. Historical accounts from the contemporary text Tabakat-i-Nasiri describe a massacre. Monks and scholars were killed or scattered to the wind. The grand university buildings were systematically smashed. And then, the invaders turned their attention to the Mountain of Truth. They set the library on fire. Historical tradition claims that the sheer volume of handwritten manuscripts was so immense that the libraries burned for 3 months straight, the heavy smoke carrying charred fragments of philosophy and science across the plains. Think of the catastrophic loss. Centuries of unique human thought, medical discoveries that could have saved lives, scientific principles that had to be reinvented hundreds of years later, all turned to ash in a matter of weeks. The destruction of Nalanda marked the end of an era. The campus grew silent. Over the centuries, dust settled, jungle vines crept over the red bricks, and the greatest university on earth slowly disappeared beneath the earth, forgotten by the world. For over 600 years, Nalanda was a ghost story. Local villagers walked past massive dirt mounds, entirely unaware that a world wonder lay sleeping right beneath their feet. Then, in the 19th century, British and Indian archaeologists, armed with nothing but the translated diaries of the Chinese monk Xuanzang, began investigating the site. Led by pioneers like Sir Alexander Cunningham and the Archaeological Survey of India, they dug away the earth, and like magic, the descriptions from the ancient texts materialized. The walls, the cells, the courtyards, they were all real. In 2016, this cradle of knowledge was officially designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Today, even though only a fraction of the estimated 150,000 square meter original site has been unearthed, walking through its remaining corridors still fills visitors with absolute awe. But a true center of learning cannot be held down by dirt or ash. More than 800 years after its tragic destruction, Nalanda has achieved the impossible. It has risen from the ashes, driven by the vision of global leaders, including India's former President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and backed by an international coalition of East Asian summit nations. A brand new modern Nalanda University was established right near the ancient ruins in Rajgir. The new sprawling 450-acre campus is a masterclass in sustainability, featuring a net zero carbon footprint, massive solar arrays, and advanced water recycling systems that deliberately mimic the lakes of its ancient ancestor. Once again, international students from all corners of the globe are coming to Bihar to study, research, and debate. The link in the chain of knowledge broken centuries ago has finally been reconnected. Nalanda was never just a collection of bricks, mortar, and books. It was an audacious idea. It proved that knowledge knows no borders. It proved that true wisdom is born only when we dare to question, debate, and collaborate. Its rise showed us what humanity can achieve when we prioritize curiosity over conflict. Its fall reminded us how fragile our collective achievements can be, and its incredible rebirth proves that while empires may fall and libraries may burn, the human pursuit of truth can never be destroyed. Thank you for traveling back in time with us. If you want to keep exploring the incredible stories that shaped our world, make sure to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep searching.